Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Gland Bodybuilding. Mountain. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about something I discovered a long time ago, probably about 20 years ago. I discovered this by accident from playing around with the frequency of my training and also having to be in the gym quite a bit. And what I found out was that if I trained often, and you guys have heard me say this before, but I'm going to get more in depth in this, so don't shut off the video yet. But if I trained more often, I naturally got more results, even if the workouts were small, like light in volume and light in weight. But it seemed like my body somehow was constantly being reminded to adapt and remain strong. Now, the thing that a lot of people get caught up in is that they think you need to crucify the muscle and then wait for a long period of time until it totally recovers and then come back into the gym again. But the thing that happens in that is sometimes, and again, you might be different, but sometimes what happens is that the body spends more time, so much more time at rest than training. And sometimes it starts to see that more of its resources should be going towards perfecting the rest thing instead of the work thing. I know it sounds weird, but the truth is that the body is a daily machine. And what you do every day does have some form of input into how the body adapts. So what didn't make sense to me was that when I was training these clients and I was jumping in for a few sets and just getting a little bit of a pump, people started to notice that I was putting on muscle. And if anything, a lot of the people out there would say, no, you're overtraining because you're training too much. But the truth is, by reminding the muscle with little bits of intensity, not too much, just little bits, almost like glorified warm-up sets, my body stayed in a state of perpetual pumpitude. I should make that pumpitude word echo a little bit for effect. Pumpitude. So a new law came into effect when I realized this, and that is what helps me feel perpetually pumped on a daily basis is also another factor to factor into how I design my workout programs. So if I train a muscle and then I notice that that muscle flattens out after a certain period of time of not training it, then what I noticed is that perhaps I need to train a little bit more frequently, but with less volume or intensity. So what I'm saying is that sometimes super high frequency can work, but the mistake most people make is that they assume if you're doing high frequency training, like say doing whole body workouts every day, that you need to stay with high intensity workouts every time. Even if you're doing low volume, say you're only doing 2 sets for your chest, people are still saying, oh, I got to go all the way to failure. I'm saying no. On the days in between, if you just do glorified warm-ups, so say you're using 50% of the weight that you do on a day that you're trying to challenge the muscle, it's still enough to stimulate that muscle in order to maintain a groove, maintain muscle mass, and give you greater growth. And therefore, when you do the workout that is more challenging, maybe 2, 3, 4 days in the future, you'll have more strength endurance, a better groove, and a better overall amount of muscle mass and development from it. So that's what I find. So for instance, the last 4 days in a row, I've trained whole body workouts. Sometimes maybe I'm missing one body part or so. But at the same time, I factor in the frequency that I'm doing. And some days I'll do a weight that's a bit more challenging. But most of the time, I'll do maybe 50 to 60% of my normal work weight. And that's what I'll use to maintain the groove, to keep the blood flowing, and to get a good overall hypertrophic feeling in the body. So for instance, if I'm doing squats, a lot of times I'll be using 225 to 315, and then on my heavier days, I'll be using 4 plates and above, or 405 and above. But for the most part, what I'm trying to do is maintain that pump as much as possible, and then on certain days, I just increase the intensity. Now, I'm only doing 2 to 3 sets per body part, because the whole point is to maintain and to stimulate the body just enough but not break it down so much that it cannot recover in time for the next day. So it's a different way of seeing the training in the body. And what you're doing is taking into account that the body does adapt by doing things every day. It only stands to reason. You see this with construction workers, you see this with people that do labor work of all kinds, and you also see this with professional athletes that specialize in their sport. Even in power sports, you'll see them do a certain exercise or a certain type of ballistic training every day. They just may do it with different intensities. So you can apply the same principle with weight training. And I talk about this in my super high frequency program, but you can also do this and experiment. The trick is like I said, low volume so that you can recover again by the next day. You shouldn't be super sore the next day. If you are, that means you're doing too much. And at the same time, you can lower the weight and do glorified warm-ups or maybe a little bit higher intensity than warming up. And then from there, you have your intense workouts once in a while. So I'd say about 60-70% of your workouts are glorified warm-up type workouts, and then you have these work days. But because you're constantly reminding the body that it cannot get lazy, you may experience a larger amount of pumpitude, at least doing this for a short period of time. Maybe you only do this 3 weeks, maybe you only do it 8 weeks, but give it a try if you have not tried this type of training and see if it works for you. But I noticed that if I go through stages where I use this type of super high frequency training, I tend to blast through slumps, and I tend to get more of a pump and more of a rejuvenation in my entire training. And yeah, I like it. So I thought I'd share this with you. And yes, you guys, if you guys are waiting for the book that I'm writing, I'm at 32,000 words right now. So yeah, so we'll see how it goes. I think it'll probably be around 50,000 words by the time I'm done, maybe 60, I don't know. I'll update you as it gets closer to the end of this book. And yeah, maybe it'll be something of interest to you. But if you don't like the 80s and you don't like lots of fight stories, you're probably not gonna like it because it's filled with that stuff. Mountain. I hope this helps you out in your training, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. And if you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalgalantbodybuilding.com. And thanks to the page supporters. And I'll see you in the next video. Oh yeah.